welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Heshain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. Sri Lanka does not need to get in between the power struggles of superpowers, says the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa assumed duties as the Minister of Finance and pledges to strengthen the country's economy. News in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa stresses that Sri Lanka as a small country does not need to get in between the power struggles of superpowers, but to work with all the countries realizing the assets and capabilities of Sri Lanka. Newly elected President Rajapaksa made these remarks speaking at an Indian website, Bharata Shakti, today.
We are geographically situated in a very strategic location,
Right.
and all the sea lanes
Yes.
are passing through close to Sri Lanka from east to west.
Yes.
And you know that the importance of these sea lanes,
Right.
because especially when Asia is developing,
When becoming center of gravity, as you mentioned.
yes, and more their produce has to go to the world,
Right.
and at the same time when you develop you need energy.
Right.
The energy resources still is in Middle East,
Yes.
so that it has to come. Then the minerals are in Africa.
Right.
Those things has
Have
to
to come from there,
So
yeah.
this is very important.
Yes.
So but thing is, these lanes must be free for the whole world, any country. So no country should control these sea lanes. And we don't want to get in between these power struggles of superpowers or
Right.
world powers.
World powers, yeah.
So basically, we want to work with all the countries, and we don't want to do anything which will harm any other countries. Now, for that matter, we understand the importance of the Indian concern.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has assumed duties as the Minister of Finance, Economic Affairs, Policy Development this morning. Speaking at the occasion, Premier Rajapaksa stated that measures will be taken to strengthen the country's economy, which was neglected by the previous regime.
Following the election of Gotabaya Rajapaksa as the President of Sri Lanka, a 15-member new cabinet was sworn in last Friday, and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was also appointed as the Minister of Finance, arrived at the ministry premises this morning to assume duties. Employees at the Finance Ministry welcomed their new minister, who was appointed to the post for the fourth time.
රටේ මෘතාර්ථිකය, බාහිරාංශය, මුදල්ලාංශය, රාජ්‍යාංශය, සාමුල්‍ය පද්ධතිය. අද සෑම පැත්තකින්ම පහේ දුර්වල වෙලා.
The monetary sector has been weakened from each and every aspect. The confidence on the country's economy by the investors is no more. At least the citizens have no any confidence on the country's economy. All the interest rates have been doubled. Foreign reserves have been reduced very badly. During our period, we had the highest economic growth rate in the region. But today, we report the lowest in the region. The tourism industry, the only sector which showed an improvement during last few years, was also disturbed by the April attacks.
Later, Prime Minister and Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa also arrived at the Ministry of Buddha Sasana premises and assumed duties as the Minister of Buddha Sasana also.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka announces that it has received information on an increase of several types of financial frauds and scams that are being operated through social media and internet-based applications. The central bank strongly advises the public to be vigilant about these frauds and scams and not to share any confidential information such as account usernames, passwords, personal identification numbers, one-time passwords, or other information required for account verification with anyone.
The central bank stresses that most of these scams are conducted through easy loan schemes that attract the public, and during such fraudulent loan approval processes, the fraudsters lure the public to share confidential customer information such as their bank account numbers and the customer's personal identification numbers. The fraudsters then use such confidential information to access customer accounts and steal customers' money. Elaborating on the issue, CBS states that confidential customer information includes savings and current account numbers, internet or mobile banking or e-wallet account usernames, passwords, personal identification numbers of cards or internet banking facilities, transaction verification information such as one-time passwords and any other information that could be used to access or verify bank accounts, payment cards, electronic wallets, or any other account. Thus, as precautionary measures, the bank advises the public to obtain real-time notification services such as SMS alerts from their banks or non-bank financial institutions such as finance companies so that they would become aware of any fraudulent activity that takes place using their accounts instantly. Moreover, customers are advised to be careful in reading the terms and conditions of any financial product or service before accepting them. Meanwhile, if customers are requested by third parties such as easy loan schemes to provide customers confidential information, which will grant access to the customer's current or savings accounts, or receive any suspicious SMS or email alerts or telephone calls regarding transactions that the customer did not initiate, they are advised to take immediate action and inform their relevant bank or other financial institutions of such suspicious activity.
Sri Lanka Embassy in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, in collaboration with the Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce and sectoral associations and the Sri Lanka Export Development Board hosted a business forum last week at King's Hotel, Addis Ababa, for Sri Lankan companies attending the World Export Development Forum 2019.
Ethiopia-Sri Lanka Business Forum was held recently on the sidelines of World Export Development Forum in Addis Ababa. Sri Lankan companies such as Nestle Lanka, Wilkins Spence Packaging Lanka Private Limited, the Tea and Herb Company Private Limited, and Sinex Group of companies participated at the forum. The business forum was presided by the president of the Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce and sectoral associations, Melaku Aziz, and ambassador designate of Sri Lanka to Ethiopia, Sugishwara Gunaratna. Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce and sectoral associations outlined the Ethiopian government's strategy to attract foreign direct investments as well as enhance trade links between Ethiopia and other countries. The Chamber also noted that Ethiopia would stand to benefit from the expertise of Sri Lankan companies and the goods and services they supply. Addressing the gathering, Ambassador-designate Sugishwara Gunaratna stated that since 2014, bilateral trade between Ethiopia and Sri Lanka had multiplied by almost 5 times, and Sri Lankan companies continue to show an interest in enhancing trade and investment links with African markets, particularly Ethiopia. He further stated that Sri Lanka was the first country in South Asia to liberalize its economy, and as a result, Sri Lankan companies have acquired a level of skill and sophistication that enable them to forge mutually rewarding synergies and encourage Ethiopian companies to make use of the opportunity.
Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Co-chair of the National Forum Against Gender-Based Violence and representative in Sri Lanka of United Nations Population Fund, Ritsu Nakan, states that proper evidence-based policy programs should be implemented to eliminate gender-based violence in Sri Lanka. She made these observations this morning at a press conference titled United Towards Creating Violence-Free Spaces for Girls and Women, organized to mark the 15th anniversary of the National Forum Against Gender-Based Violence, co-chaired by UNFPA and Oxfam.
One of the primary obstacles to eliminating gender-based violence is that sadly, even after the global movements such as Me Too and Time is Up, many people still do not regard gender-based violence as a serious crime. Women are held back by the consequences of gender-based violence. We must raise our voices and stand firmly against it and ensure that there is appropriate policy action to put an end to it. Given the recent public discourse on the release of a murder convict, it further highlighted the brutality of such incidents. Another major barrier for eliminating gender-based violence is the lack of accurate data. The police records only cover the reported cases, which we all know only the tip of the iceberg. As our study on sexual harassment on public transport shows, a vast majority of women and girls do not report the incidents to the police. But making data available is not enough to eliminate the violence. We need to work together to ensure that evidence-based policies and programs will be developed and implemented to effectively address GBV.
President of the Sri Lanka Association of Print, Delan Silva, says the main object of the Sri Lanka Print 2020 exhibition and the National Print Conference, which will be held from March 12 to 15, 2020, is to recruit nearly 20,000 youngsters to the industry. SLAP President made these remarks at an event to announce the Sri Lanka Print 2020 exhibition and the National Print Conference, which will be held in the next March at BMICH.
We will be targeting this time with the Sri Lanka Association of Printers with the Print 2020 to target 20,000 people to recruit into the industry and with a special bonus which we are going to offer. And we are going to take it in a higher level because we have a 4.5% unemployment. We have 500,000 students coming in, but they don't have awareness of their career path. Sri Lanka Association of Printers are going to take it to a higher level of trying to get 20,000 people within the next 2 years into the industry. That is our objective.
Upon question by State of Business as to why many Sri Lankans go to countries like India to get the printing matters done for a cheaper cost, the SLAP president noted that lack of awareness of the public of the standards of local printers and their sustainable printing methods is the main reason, and that exhibitions such as Sri Lanka Print 2020 exhibition will spread the awareness that local printers are highly qualified.
See, the reason is lack of awareness, and this year we are going to get that right to them because the lack of awareness, and we have not marketed ourselves to know that the printers are capable to world standards. We have achieved world awards, but the Sri Lankan market has not known it to that level. So we are creating the market and giving awareness for them to achieve that goal. We will be using sustainability as a unique selling proposition and to take it to another level because India is a big market. They cannot get into that level so fast. Sri Lanka can achieve it as it is a small country and using the unique selling proposition for marketing our product on sustainable packaging.
The central bank announces that expenditure on merchandise imports contracted for the 11th consecutive month, with a 3.3% decline in September 2019 to $1,711 million driven by lower consumer goods and intermediate goods imports.
Accordingly, the CBSL reports show that while food and beverages imports increased marginally, a decline in expenditure on consumer goods imports in September 2019 was observed as a result of the decline in non-food consumer goods imports. Import expenditure on personal motor vehicles declined in September 2019 on a year-on-year basis. However, in absolute terms, motor vehicle imports remain at a relatively high level since July 2019 compared to values recorded during December 2018 through June 2019, reflecting mainly the impact of personal motor vehicle imports under concessionary permits. Meanwhile, expenditure on food and beverages imports increased, mainly driven by imports of potatoes categorized under vegetables, where higher volumes were imported as a result of lower domestic supply. Expenditure on imports of intermediate goods declined in September 2019, mainly due to lower expenditure on fuel, owing to lower prices as well as lower volumes of refined petroleum products. However, a steady recovery in monthly tourist arrivals after the Easter Sunday terror attacks was observed in recent months. Tourist arrivals amounted to 108,575 in September 2019, with a year-on-year decline of tourist arrivals of 27.2% in September 2019 compared to the drop of 28.3% in August and 46.9% in July 2019. The decline in the number of tourists from key sources such as China and the United Kingdom mainly contributed to the drop in tourist arrivals on a year-on-year basis.
6 best shot in Sri Lanka Army won the bronze medal in the Australasia Handgun Championship 2019 held in the Philippines recently.
Sixth best shot in Sri Lanka Army won the bronze medal in the Australasia Handgun Championship 2019 held during 10th to 18th November 2019 at the Front Sight Shooting Range in the Philippines. Thus, 840 shooters from 45 countries competed in the tournament. The team led by Lieutenant Colonel HKLJ Pereira along with Lieutenant LASM Lianarachi of the 7th Sri Lanka Army Women's Corps, Lance Corporal SMN Devmini of 2nd Sri Lanka Army Women's Corps and Lance Corporal AK Kaushalya of 5th Sri Lanka Army Women's Corps contributed to the achievement of the bronze medal. Sergeant KMR Jayanta Kumara and Corporal WKBAP Fernando of the Army also participated in the tournament.
Stay tuned for stock updates right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all-share price index dropped 35.53 points to close at 6,083.74, recording its highest all-share price index for this year, and the S&P SL20 dropped 18.05 points to close at 3,003.95. The turnover was 662 million rupees and over 41 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all news for today. Do join us tomorrow with State of Business. Until then, take care. Good night.